Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for the first week of December, December 2nd. We just got done with Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a great holiday. We also came back from a shortened week, and last week we had the Vegas trip, so it was very busy here on my ends of things. And so this is really a good time to really get a lot of new stocks out there for you, some new setups. Really had a great week. I think last week's and the week before watch list have just been key on. Markets here continue to push higher, and what I normally have been doing is breaking the watch list down into two segments. The first segment is basically a review of what we traded and why they worked out, or why they didn't work out. But as you will see, most of these setups work out, and the other portion of that is the education that comes along with it, and how I stress so many times, and I do it for myself as much as I do it for you, and it is to stress how important it is, how good the methodology is, but it's only as good as you have the patience, or if you have the patience to wait for the setups to properly set up. Because right now, I was going over this week, I said, well, I got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 what I call playbook plays, and these 6 playbook plays are just a combination of what we call high probability setups. Is the outline for a stock that's going to make a move, and it's usually has the multiple indicators all converging at one point where you have a very high probability area for the market to make a move. And I say not a directional move like to move up or down, because it could also be a short-term move down. It could be a high probability short setup, but the market has not given us those yet, so we don't talk about them as much. But the important part is just being able to recognize them further out. That's what I do. Chart them out, wait for them to come, take the profit. Take the trade, and then manage the profits. Probably the hardest part of that whole process is determining when to take profits. It really is. And that's a great thing, because this is a business. You want this to be a business. You want to be able to have a structure to it. You just want to go randomly into the markets every day and just trying to fight it out, because this gives you such a good edge. First of all, you protect yourself from real sloppy stocks that get chopped up a lot. You might like that. I'm just saying from my experience, and I would rather be surrounded by positions that I feel like I could sleep a little well, sleep better at night with, and just that they react better to indicators and patterns, and that's what we're sticking to. So every week, been giving you just having some great patience, waiting for certain things to set up, and we get them. And the important part is just taking those profits. So this is another week that I want to plan on doing that. And again, going back to why I do this is to kind of just instill that patience. Make sure that when we strive to take the best setups. If the setup's not there, we're not going to reach and try to make believe something's happening, but we're just going to wait. And that's the key to really making money in this market. For me, it is. All right. So we just there's a random chart up on the screen, MSG, and again, you recognize a lot of things if you watch the show every day. And for those out there who might not know, that there is a stock market show on each and every day from 8:30 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, and then multiple shows overnight over different time slots throughout the evening. This is exactly what we are looking for and what we're trading live. So feel free to join us here at DayTradingRadio.com each and every day. And you notice this pattern. This is a downward channel based off a 1, 2, 3 pattern. Here we have a coil stochastic. These are different things that we mark down as a playbook play. The lower trend line bounce, the oversold level, the coil stochastic, the breakout, the rotation, the move back up. It's just different things that are playing out here. The divergence between the stochastic and the price. Everything here tells us a story, and it's very important to understand that this is a high probability setup. This is a high probability setup. This starts to become a high probability setup. All right, this is a high probability setup on the short side. And these moves are not tremendous. That's not a move that you plan on hanging around for multiple months. But you want to get that move in a couple days, get the biggest move you can out of these, and then move on and wait for the next setup. So this is a good example. Madison Square Garden is one that we recently traded. But let's take a look at the ones we traded last week. These are fantastic. And some of these are still in play, and we still hold on to them. This was a coil stochastic downward channel, and we came down close enough to this trend line where we are already, I like to do is take that scale in process. Once I start to recognize we're oversold on the stochastics, that's more of an important indicator to me than having everything line up. So once we're oversold, very close to the lower portion of this channel, we take the entry. Understanding if it moves down here, I would actually, just adjust that entry, get a little cost average area, because this is an easy trade right here. But because it was coiled, we know that a coil stochastic gets a bigger move on the breakout, and we got a nice move and call for a break of this channel, and we're in the process of that right now. Took profits into it, and now I'll just wait for this next thing to set up again. But that was a key setup. This is the type of setups you're going to see. ZNH, we took profits finally this week. Not much of a one that you want to see on the chart, but ZNH, China Southern Airline, has a very good rotation to it when I follow this, especially with the stochastics. You could look back here and just look at different levels where the stochastics have gotten oversold, and from that point on, there's usually been a bias to back up to the upside. In this case, we just waited for that to happen, and eventually did happen here, and did kind of break out. And I took profits. Still looks okay, but again, maybe the next time it comes back down here, we'll do this once again. Just about putting it on your focus list, scanning it each week, waiting for the setup, and then setting the alerts. NCR, textbook. Nice downward channel, positive stock. You have a 1, 2, 3 pattern. You have some good pivot areas, but you have the 200 period moving average, and you have the oversold stochastic. So I like this again, understanding that you have your initial entry zone in case it moves back down here. This is also called a 200 EMA channel bounce. But being in it here, it's very good, and you can see we're already profitable in it. It's probably a good shot that we actually move back up to the 20, and that continues to be pretty good. So it's a kind of a freebie for you. And then Fairway Market was one of the best bucks. I did an interweek video, so how do you like this? I mean, just comes right down to our level. We take our entry, and you can see it pop today, and it's moving right back up, and we got a nice profit on it. And we might be in the best position you might ever see in this stock. You don't know. But the reason we're in, combination. 1, 2, 3 pattern. Here's this pivot area here. We got down close to that. We got oversold first. That means we start to take that position. Understand that it doesn't have to touch it exactly, but we already took a lot of the risk out of this trade. It's already pulled off of its 20. It's already broken down from its recent lows. There's a lot of things here I love about this type of setup. And then, of course, you get to move back up. You start to get the crossover, and we're in the money. So again, another excellent setup here. And potash today, POT. We talk about that rotation, underlying trend line, a small little downward channel. It breaks out. It rotates all the way back. You can see we start to hold the upward channel and the downward channel. X marks the spot. Trade starts to move back into an upside thing, and this is probably, of all the setups, this is one of the more riskier ones because it's potash. It hasn't been performing with the overall markets. It's a stock that, if you look back and for the last year, it's been trending down. I call that stock rot. So whenever you try to get into a stock that has a tendency just to move down over the longer period, you can still get these moves. These moves are still valid, but you just rather be in a stock that's a healthy stock, because there's chances of this breaking down versus, But either way, technically, took the trade. It looks good, and that's another example of that. Now, there's so many other great setups that came out last week. We put these on the section of the site called the HPS section, and that I break down all these things, and you get a nice chart of it. Comes up, you can get a nice chart, you get email alerts, you get alerted if it hits our buy zone, and the video that you hear in the second part of the video, I won't hear in the first part, but the second part of the video is where we discuss the upcoming plays, and I break these charts down and walk you through. BJ was great setup. It actually pushed higher off of this level. It was a good channel. Put the alert down here. Took the entry a little early, but understanding I always want to be alerted to, if we find a good recognizable pattern, I just want to put that alert down there. If it comes down there, I get the alert, you get the alert. If it doesn't come down there, you still, understand that this pattern typically breaks to the upside. The stochastics were always key for me, so I don't want to take this unless the stochastics roll back down, and this came back to another indicator support. So we have 3 or more indicators lining up. But either way, that's what you see in the alerts. Cash, again, this is really a nice textbook little setup. Underlying trend line. This is a bigger channel. Broke this one down. Came right down to this level. It bounced, and then we said, well, watch for the pullback into that level again. We pulled back into level, then bounced aggressively, then pulled back, and it's chopping around down here. But the underlying trend line is definitely holding up. And we'll just continue to go on. Some of these, again, are still active. The Xilinx, did we go over that already? Yeah, I forget if we did or not. Oh, Xilinx last week. Yeah, look at this, how it came right down into that zone. I was so aggressive on this. This was so nice. And we took profits into it. I did take profits into it up here, right up against this trend line. It's not at its profit zone yet, but when you have over a point, like I said, the hardest part will be gauging how far a stock's going to move, especially on a 60-minute chart. I like to get out on that 60-minute rotation. And it's chopping around. I mean, you could easily see that this was a textbook entry down here. It did get that breakout, which I was calling for, but we just haven't hit our target yet on that. Trade is already done. VMware, great setup. All these, this is what I strive to find each week. I want to get, look at that, boom, boom, right back up. And this is 1, 2, 3 underlying pivot areas. There's 1, 2, 3, plus the oversold levels. That 1, 2, 3 pivot area underneath that pivot area has worked so good recently. Whenever you have a downward channel or just one trend line, the multiple tests of that trend line really gives us a good reactionary move back up. And that just happened on that one too. VMware. So again, just Visa. Visa was one of the best bets, and again, expected to break back over 202 and move higher. It was a flag, and this is again from a couple weeks ago. We didn't get down to the the entry level, but we took that trade for what it is. It is a beautiful flag, not guaranteed to get that perfect pullback, but just recognizing that we're going to get a nice move back up here is just really good. See, right, even in my notes here, I don't expect it to get down to this trend line. Just too strong, too big of a stock, too strong of a stock. MSG, went over that, and then ABBV. This is a great, another great flag. A lot of good flags this last few weeks. And you can see right down to that trend line, right up into our profit zone. Excellent. And Kraft is still working out. Still looks good. And there's underlying trend line here, and it's just been kind of chopping around this buy zone. It's definitely starting to move out of the buy zone and moving up, and it's actually looking much better. It's holding that 200 period moving average. Everything looks good on this. Updated stochastics we'll probably go over in the next part of this video. And that's what I really want to do, is just kind of stress all the great setups that are coming your way. And important, again, I'm going to also, I mapped down all the playbook plays, and they're all in the forum. And it's the coil stochastic channel breakout, the oversold stochastic channel bounce, channel breakout stochastic rotation, 200 breakdown channel bounce, 1, 2, 3 pattern, and the 3 lower trend line pivot buy area, which I'm going to add to that one. I'm going to actually make a new cheat sheet on that one because it's been working out so good, the 3 underlying pivot areas. So just remember, follow those setups, wait for your stocks to come into those zones, take the trade, take your profits, move on. This is a business. All right, I want to jump over to the new watch list and the new setups for this week. Talk to you soon.